Hey there, curious minds. Welcome to this intellectual journey. Today we're going to debunk one of the most dangerous ideas of our time, one that probably affects you directly every single day without you even realizing it. An idea that parades as an opportunity but secretly hides a prison. Have you ever wondered why, no matter how much you achieve, you feel this constant pressure to do more, to be more? It's an endless race, a glorified hamster wheel sold to us as the path to fulfillment. But what if I told you that the finish line is just an illusion? The question we need to ask ourselves is brutally simple. Is self-exploitation, that act of squeezing every last drop of energy out of ourselves, the secret ingredient to the happiness and success we're constantly being sold? The answer might just change the way you view your own life and ambitions. To understand this trap, we first need to name its architect. Philosopher Byung-Chul Han calls it the performance society, a society where there's no longer an external boss exploiting us. Instead, we've become our own taskmasters. The motto of this new era is, "You can do it." Sounds inspiring, right? But this simple slogan hides a perverse mechanism. It shifts all systemic responsibility onto your shoulders. If you fail, it's not because the system is broken, it's because you didn't try hard enough. Thus, we stop being oppressed subjects and transform into personal optimization projects. We manage ourselves as if we were a business. Your life becomes an enterprise meant to maximize profits, where profit equals external validation and constant productivity. This self-exploitation is far more efficient than traditional exploitation. Why? Because it's accompanied by a feeling of freedom. No one forces you. You choose to work late, you choose to skip breaks. You do it all in the name of your dreams, your passion. The problem is that this freedom is an illusion. It's the freedom of the fox in the henhouse. You're free to eat all the chickens you want, but you're not free to leave the coop. You're free to exploit yourself, but not to stop the wheel of productivity. This is where hustle culture comes into play, the glorification of exhaustion. We're bombarded with images of entrepreneurs who sleep 4 hours and work non-stop, celebrated as heroes. Social media is the main loudspeaker for this narrative. We see perfectly curated lives full of achievements, travel, and material success. This creates immense social pressure to project a similar image, to constantly prove that we are productive and successful. Every like, every admiring comment acts as a little dopamine hit, a chemical reward that hooks us into this cycle. We seek external validation as proof of our worth, confusing visibility with true happiness. The inevitable result of this constant pressure is burnout, a state of physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion. But in the performance society, burnout isn't seen as a logical consequence of the system. Instead, it's branded as a personal failure. You tell yourself you weren't strong enough, that you couldn't manage your stress. Shame and guilt pile on top of the exhaustion, creating a downward spiral. The system protects itself by making the victim feel guilty for their own condition. Mental health researchers have shown that rates of anxiety and depression have skyrocketed in recent decades, especially among young people. This is directly linked to the pressure for performance and constant social comparison fostered by digital platforms. We've become what sociologist Zygmunt Bauman called a confessional society. We voluntarily expose our lives, our achievements, and even our struggles, turning existence itself into a spectacle for others' consumption. Privacy is sacrificed on the altar of visibility. The language we use reveals this mindset. We talk about investing in ourselves, optimizing our time, managing our emotions. This corporate jargon reduces the complexity of human experience to a series of metrics and objectives. Rest in this paradigm is no longer a right or a need, but merely a tool for greater productivity. We rest not for the pleasure of it, but so we can perform better tomorrow. Inactivity is equated with failure, with laziness, the cardinal sin of this society. Think about it for a moment. Even our hobbies have turned into side hustles. It's the monetization of every aspect of life. What we once did purely for pleasure must now have a return on investment. This leads us into a state of deep alienation, a philosophical concept meaning to feel separated or estranged from something. We become alienated from our work, which is no longer an expression of ourselves but an obligation. And most seriously, we become alienated from ourselves. We lose touch with our true needs, desires, and limits. Our bodies and minds send signals of exhaustion, but we ignore them because we've internalized the command that we must keep pushing forward at all costs. The authentic self is silenced by the entrepreneurial self. Happiness in this context is redefined. It's no longer a state of well-being or inner peace, but the fleeting thrill of reaching a goal, receiving validation, or buying the next product that promises to optimize us. It's an addictive and perpetually unsatisfying happiness. Now, the system is brilliant in its design because it's self-perpetuating. When you feel unhappy or anxious about not meeting expectations, The solution offered by the system itself is, ironically, more of the same. More courses, more self-help books, more tech to make you more productive. We consume individual solutions for problems that are structural and collective. We buy a meditation app to manage stress caused by a toxic work environment instead of questioning the environment itself. It's a band-aid that never truly heals the wound. The trap is subtle. It doesn't use force, it uses seduction. It seduces us with the promise that we can be anything we want, that the power is in our hands. And by accepting this promise, we also accept full blame for our failures, absolving the system of all responsibility. This creates a society of exhausted, anxious, and isolated individuals competing against each other in a race where the prize is simply the right to keep running a little longer. We become docile and controllable because we're too tired to question the rules of the game. Success becomes a comparative measure. It's not about being well, it's about being better than everyone else. This constant competition erodes solidarity and empathy. We see others not as companions, but as competitors in the grand Olympics of performance. This logic even infiltrates our personal relationships. Networking often instrumentalizes friendship. People become resources, stepping stones we can use to advance our own careers. We've forgotten how to be bored. Boredom, which philosophers like Walter Benjamin argued is the nesting ground for experience and creativity, has been eradicated. Every second of inactivity is filled with a podcast, a video, an article on how to be more efficient. Silence and contemplation have become uncomfortable because in those moments, the voice of our exhaustion might finally be heard. It's easier to stay busy, keep producing, keep consuming, so we don't have to face the emptiness this system generates within us. What's truly fascinating is how the system has co-opted even movements of resistance. Mindfulness, a practice of focused attention with roots in spiritual traditions for liberation from suffering, has been packaged and sold as a tool to improve concentration and performance at work. We don't meditate to be free, we meditate to be better workers. Spirituality becomes another personal optimization product. It's the system's ability to absorb and neutralize any criticism, turning it into a new business opportunity. Consider the idea of a digital detox. It's sold to us as a way to reclaim our well-being, but often it's just a pause to recharge our batteries and jump back into the race with more energy. It doesn't question our dependence on technology, it merely manages it. So what's the darkest secret behind this whole setup? The real plot twist. The system doesn't want you to achieve success and happiness. Not at all. The system needs you to feel perpetually unsatisfied, to always be missing something, because a satisfied person, a genuinely happy and peaceful person, stops being a good consumer. Someone who feels complete doesn't need the next gadget, the next course, the next validation. Dissatisfaction is the fuel that keeps the engine running. Self-exploitation is not the path to happiness. Self-exploitation is the product we consume while chasing a happiness that has been designed to be unattainable. We sell ourselves the idea of freedom while tightening our own chains. Recognizing this trap is the first step to escaping it. It's not about becoming lazy or abandoning all ambitions. It's about a radical act of self-definition. It's about snatching from the system the power to define what a successful life means to you. It means learning to rest without guilt, to enjoy leisure without feeling like you're wasting time, to seek validation within yourself and in your meaningful relationships, not in the vanity metrics on a screen. It means setting clear boundaries between work and life, reclaiming your hobbies for the pure joy of doing them, celebrating the process instead of obsessing solely over the outcome. It means, in essence, treating yourself with the compassion the system denies you. The true rebellion in the performance society isn't to work harder, it's to dare to work less to live more. It's an act of courage to say, enough is enough. Enough work, enough pressure, enough self-exertion. Next time you feel tempted to compare yourself to someone online, remember the illusion. Behind that image of perfect success, there could be someone just as exhausted and anxious as anyone else. The facade is part of the social control mechanism. It's crucial to understand that this isn't just an individual struggle, it's a collective problem. Talking about this with friends, family, and colleagues helps break the taboo and isolation. You'll discover you're not alone in your exhaustion. Questioning your workplace culture, advocating for healthier hours, and for the right to disconnect are small acts of resistance that collectively can generate real and significant change in society. The ultimate irony is that true productivity, creativity, and innovation don't arise from exhaustion, but from rest, play, and a mind that has space to wander and connect ideas in novel ways. The system, in its pursuit of efficiency, sabotages itself. Redefining success might mean valuing mental health over a pay raise. It might be choosing to spend time with loved ones instead of taking on an extra project. It's a personal choice, but one with profound political and social implications. We're not offering a magic solution. Becoming aware of the trap doesn't automatically pull you out of it, but it gives you a map. It allows you to navigate it with greater intention, recognizing the pressures and making decisions more aligned with your true well-being. Self-exploitation masquerades as self-fulfillment. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. It promises us total control over our lives, but only makes us slaves to an idealized and unattainable version of ourselves. A version that's always in the future, never in the present. The antidote is radical self-acceptance. Accepting your limits, your imperfections, your low-energy days. Understanding that your worth as a human being doesn't lie in your capacity to produce, but simply in your existence. You are valuable for being, not for doing. So next time you feel that pang of guilt for resting, or that anxiety for not doing enough, stop. Breathe. And remember the trap? Don't fall into it. Your life is so much more than a to-do list or a profile of achievements. The Performance Society views us as human resources. The word resources implies that we are extractable, usable, and ultimately disposable once our performance declines. It's a dehumanizing vision of our existence. We must reclaim the language. We are not resources, we are human beings. We are not managing our human capital, we are living our lives. Changing the words is the first step to changing the mindset that imprisons us. Let's look at the role of optimism. Toxic positivity is a key tool in this system. The obligation to always be optimistic and look on the bright side denies the legitimacy of emotions like sadness, anger, or frustration, which are valid responses to exhaustion. When you're told to just think positive thoughts, you're being silenced. You're being prevented from criticizing the conditions that cause you distress. It's a form of social control disguised as well-intentioned advice. True mental health isn't the absence of negative emotions. It's the ability to feel them, process them, and respond to them in a healthy way, which often means recognizing that something in our environment urgently needs to change. The system fragments us. It divides us into roles. You're a worker, a parent, a consumer, a social media user, each role with its own set of performance expectations. This fragmentation prevents us from feeling like complete, integrated human beings. The struggle for integrity, for uniting all those pieces into a coherent whole, is an act of resistance. It means allowing your values as a person to influence your decisions as a worker, and vice versa. It's refusing to be just a function. Let's consider the concept of passion. We're told that if we find our passion, we'll never feel like we're working. This idea, while romantic, is dangerous. It allows for the justification of precarious working conditions and self-exploitation in the name of loving what we do. It's possible to love your work, but that doesn't eliminate the need for boundaries, fair pay, and time for rest. Passion should not be an excuse for exploitation, whether imposed by others or by ourselves. The future of work and well-being depends on us questioning these narratives, on starting to build a new culture where success is measured by quality of life, mental health, and the strength of our communities, not just by productivity and economic growth. This new culture would value collaboration over competition. It would understand that the well-being of one is intrinsically linked to the well-being of all. It would be a society of care, not a performance society. This might sound utopian, but every major social change began with an idea that challenged the status quo. The first step is to imagine that another way of living is possible. The power of this system lies in its invisibility, in its ability to present itself as the natural order of things. By making it visible, by naming and analyzing it, we strip it of much of its power over us. Knowledge is a form of liberation. Understanding the psychological and sociological mechanisms that drive us to self-exploitation gives us the ability to choose differently. It returns to us the power of decision over our own lives. It's not about rejecting technology or progress. It's about putting them at our service and not the other way around. Technology should give us more free time, not fill it with more work and more anxiety. It should be a tool for well-being, not for surveillance. A meta-analysis of decades of productivity studies demonstrates that working more hours doesn't equate to better results. In fact, after a certain point, productivity drastically decreases. The belief that more effort is always better is a myth. A myth that benefits those who profit from our exhaustion, but harms our health, our relationships, and, paradoxically, the quality of our own work. The Performance Society trains us to live in a constant state of urgency. Everything needs to be done yesterday. This artificial rush prevents us from thinking long-term, reflecting deeply, or simply being present in the moment. Reclaiming a slower, more human pace of life is a revolutionary act. It's choosing depth over speed, quality over quantity. It's a direct challenge to the logic of a system that wants us always accelerated and distracted. The self-exploitation trap also feeds on economic precarity. For many, overworking isn't a choice to achieve an ideal of success, but a necessity for survival. This adds a layer of complexity and urgency to the problem. That's why the solution cannot be solely individual. It requires structural changes. Policies that guarantee economic security, strong labor rights, and a social safety net that allows us to live with dignity without having to sell our souls. While we fight for those changes, our task on a personal level is to create pockets of resistance, to build lives and communities that operate as much as possible under a different logic. A logic of sufficiency, care, and human connection. The happiness we're sold is a standardized product, a prepackaged bundle of achievements and possessions, but authentic happiness is handcrafted. It's something each of us must build with our own hands, using the materials of our own lives. Perhaps true success isn't about climbing the ladder, but getting off it entirely and walking your own path. A path that might not be as glamorous, but is honest, sustainable, and most importantly, yours. The fear of others' judgment, the fear of being seen as lazy or a failure, is one of the strongest bars of this invisible cage. Overcoming that fear is key to our liberation. Remember, your worth isn't in your resume. Your worth is inherent. You don't need to prove it, earn it, or optimize it. You simply need to recognize it and protect it from a world that will try to convince you otherwise. The system wants us isolated, competing with each other. That's why genuine connection is an act of sabotage. Every time you collaborate, ask for help, or offer unconditional support, you're hacking the system from within. Blind optimism weakens us, but hope is different. Hope isn't the belief that everything will turn out well, but the conviction that what we do has meaning regardless of the outcome. Hope is the engine of resistance. The goal isn't to achieve a state of permanent happiness. That's another illusion. The goal is to build a life robust and flexible enough to house the full spectrum of human experience, from joy to sorrow. So at the end of the day, the question isn't how we can be more successful on society's terms. The question is how we can be more free. And freedom begins with awareness. Self-exploitation disguised as ambition and passion is the disease of our time. But the cure isn't in a new app or a productivity book. The cure lies in a silent rebellion, in the courageous decision to live in a more human way. It's not about abandoning your dreams. It's about ensuring that the dreams you pursue are truly yours and not ones that have been implanted to keep you running on the wheel. In conclusion, we've seen how the performance society pushes us into voluntary self-exploitation, selling it as the path to success. It's a trap that generates exhaustion and anxiety while making us feel guilty for it. The key is to recognize that dissatisfaction is the system's fuel. By learning to define our own success, to rest without guilt, and to value our well-being above productivity, we begin to dismantle this invisible prison, piece by piece. This is a difficult and countercurrent path, but it's the road to a more authentic, connected, and ultimately freer life. The choice, as always, lies with each of us. Thank you for joining us on this deep reflection. We hope these ideas serve as a compass in a world that often tries to disorient us. Your time and attention are incredibly valuable. If this message has resonated with you, the best way to support our work is by subscribing to our channel. Every subscription helps us continue creating content that challenges dominant narratives. We'd love to hear your perspective in the comments. Have you felt trapped on the performance treadmill? What strategies have you found to protect your well-being? Your experience enriches this entire community. Remember, questioning is the first step to change. Don't accept the reality presented to you without first analyzing it. Keep thinking, keep questioning, keep seeking your own truth. Until our next encounter, take care of your mind, value your time, and dare to define life on your own terms. We'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to uncover more secrets of our society, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can change the conversation. Now it's your turn. Head down to the comments and tell us what you think. Is self-exploitation a choice or a systemic imposition? We want to hear your take.